Yeah, you are.
Yes, sir, you are. Okay. Uh, guys, welcome. So just to clarify, Tilak, we are pretty sorted, right? I mean, in terms of like bringing in people that we wanted. We ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Awesome. All right. So welcome to the Ideathon finals. So over the last 24 hours, I mean, I've been looking at your pitch. They're pretty interesting because when we thought about diversity, they're incredible because there are a few ideas from the food and beverage industry. There are ideas from public policy and a lot. So this is the pitch where we're gonna get to know all of them. And congrats, guys! You made it to the top. So yeah, firstly, congratulations, and I believe we can get started. Viraj, would you want to say something?
No, just all the best to everyone. And yeah, be ready for some cool questions from Chandan and me. Yeah, all the best.
Okay. So the first contestant for the day is Team Virex. Virex, are you ready? Uh, I mean, we request you to speak up and say, yes, we are here, so that I know that. Can I get an acknowledgement? Guys, am I audible?
Yep.
Yes.
Where VREX? I don't see anyone from VREX.
No, I
Tilak.
actually see Abhi.
Abhiram is there.
Yeah. But his screen is loading. Okay.
And he hasn't unmuted as well.
Abhi, are you there? Okay. I think we need to move on to the next group. I request the team to kindly reach out to him and let's say understand what really happened. Okay, so moving forward to the second team of the day. So technically first team, but yeah, second team. Anyway, Cryptid Minds. Cryptid Minds, are you here?
Yeah, we're here. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes. Pretty clear.
So let's do the hospitality stuff. Mic is on, check. Camera is on, check. And screen is live. Hopefully you can see the presentation.
Yes. Just a second. It's loading. Yeah, you can see the presentation.
Okay, you guys can see me?
Yes, clear.
Yep, and I'm clear, obviously. Okay, let's start. So, good afternoon, everyone over here, and okay, so I guess someone is unmuted. Okay, good afternoon, everyone over here, and welcome to the Cryptid Minds pitch for today. We are the first one today, and yeah, we are here for solving one of the most important problem in job-seeking world, and it is nothing but your resume. Now, this problem is being faced by both. Now, the student as well as the employer. So the student is not able to concisely put in their resumes in one page. They feel their skills are like too much. They need more pages. They're not concisely able to put it in one page. Whereas the employers, they are fed up of having those lying resumes or faking resumes in their inboxes, and they're not able to get the truth. Or sometimes they even get those employees who, they don't even stand out that much what they were expecting. So how do we solve that problem? How do we do it? We do it with the help of a distributed database technology, which is none other than the blockchain. Now here we're going to use two types of blockchain. As we all know, it's a private blockchain and the public blockchain. So here, when a student goes or enrolls into a school, they get a block in the school's private blockchain. for one particular class. For example, if you are going to get graduated in 2025, then you are the class of 2025, and that school will have a separate private blockchain for class of 2025. And when you graduate, all the data, all those blocks, private blocks from all the different schools, as you can see in this chart, will come together in a public blockchain for your internships and your job seeking in the future. Then, and the most important thing over here is that the block which is assigned to a student, it is immutable by the student as well as by the school. The school can only append the data into the block. They cannot manipulate the data which is already there. So be careful. Then we have, when we are going for the job seeking place where we're looking for jobs in different companies, this is what the employers are going to do. The employers are going to do the same thing that what the school does, but in the public blockchain, which is public like around to all the companies, and everyone will be able to see it. Now, but how do we want to leverage this data on the blockchain? We're going to leverage it with the help of an interface. For example, LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is something where we apply manually, right? We put in all the details manually, we put in all our resumes manually. But now, imagine if the data which is already on that public block, once you click the apply button on the LinkedIn, it will straight away take that data from your block, put it into a concise template of the resume, and give it to your employer. There you go, all set. Employer getting an immutable data, thus creating trust. And the person and the student who is seeking the job, they are able to get it. A perfect resume, concise resume. They don't need to slap their brains day and night. This is how we're going to solve the problem, right? Now, thank you everyone. And today, we, the founders of the Cryptid Minds, are here for an asking of some private personalized NFTs and some blockchain coins, BlueLearn coins for 100% of our hard work and creativity. Thank you. Our pitch is on.
Definitely. I can see. Firstly, I like the format of your template, the presentation. It is pretty, let's say, retro, aesthetic, modern. You call it, it's always great. So, and the approach that you've taken is great. And when you talk about the problem itself, so every time when you go to a passport office, then you find one or the other cases related to the, let's say, the data manipulation cases, where the numbers have been manipulated, the board, let's say the certificates have been changed. That is one of the serious problems that, let's say, for a country like India has. I mean, not just India, a lot of countries have. So This is definitely a good thing, and that's great. That's great. And
thank you very much.
So, okay, here's my question: where do you see, let's say, when you think about education institutions of different scales and different times, let's say when you're in class 10, and then when you're in 12th, and then when you're in let's say the undergraduation and the post graduation, during all these phases, every single education institution should be aware about this deployment, right, of the data on a blockchain. So here, when we look at teaching people, what do you see the timeline as?
So, I mean, teaching. What do you mean by teaching? I didn't get the question.
Yeah. So when you look at different educational institutions, I mean, getting them onto the track, getting them on a, let's say, a common platform is something is going to be of a different scale. How are you planning to how are you planning about doing that? What is your timeline? How many years are you looking to do this?
So it's like you are asking that there are different institutions, they're following different curriculum, and so they have different reports. Is that what you're asking?
Let me rephrase the question. So the number of months, let's say, for an education institution to get used to this, and to get used to this, that's part A of the question. And when it comes to part B, it's all about how do you see the previous records also being deployed on a blockchain?
Okay, so the time that it actually then takes for the previous blocks to actually come in here. So we got to do something what we call a hard fork, right? In that case, where we got to bring in the previous data from those institutions. Obviously, now the institutions would obviously have some of the data of the students, and like the big institutions, not the small institutions, but the big institutions surely will have them, and we can get that, and then we can hard fork it, and then we can like go parallelly with those two chains running together. One is from the previous, and one is with this now, with the current data coming in. And what we can do is, with the time that is required to actually bring in this thing to normalize this thing, we can actually straight away do it. We can just straight away go to all the institutions. We'll just tell them, okay, what you got to do is that instead of printing down your report card, you just put it onto a student's block, and this is our software, and you do it. That's it. And yeah, that's how we plan to do it.
Appreciate your answer, but okay, when you think about resume, it's not just about the hard skills, right? It's also about the soft skills.
Yeah.
And how are you planning
Yeah.
to, let's say, if a person does a specific event in X place, if a person does an NGO support, let's say a social community support, how are you planning to integrate all of this?
Yeah, so what we are planning to do is that the data will be encrypted, right? So what the student actually has the power is that it can give the power to someone else. It can give its private key. With the help of its private key, it can give the power to someone else to actually append the data into it, right? And not manipulate the previous data. But then what it can do is that when it's like a private blockchain for the school can reach out to the institution wherever the student is going, and then they can say, okay, here you go, this is the person's block, or what they can do is that you can give us the data, and the school is going to attach it into it. What
And
the student
exactly
has to
that's
do
where
is,
my first question comes in. During this process
okay.
of communication between different institutions, let's say, hey,
Mhm.
this person, so-called Mr. A, has done this work. Are you aware about it? So this process of communication can be manipulated, and how are you planning to do that? How are you
Oh,
planning
okay.
to retain that? Yeah.
Okay, so what we can do is that we can create side chains, right? We can create those, like you might have heard about the multi-chain concept, right? So what we can do is that we can expand this, right? We cannot just keep it into schools or institutions or colleges. We can expand it to those, like for example, BlueLearn. BlueLearn is doing such a great job doing these things. BlueLearn can start its own. We can provide them this opportunity to start their own private chain. And what it happens is that a student is there in the center, and it's got all these side chains together. And once he's actually going to graduate, and its data is going to go from the school to the public blockchain, it can come on. It can come on as a soft fork. And when LinkedIn actually like grabs its data from the public blockchain, it can take from the first soft fork and from the block which comes from the school. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks for the answers, Jayesh. And yeah, that's pretty much from it. Viraj?
Cool. Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. Number one is, how would who maintains the blocks on the who maintains the private chain on the college's side, and wouldn't it increase the costs for the colleges enormously?
So I believe like the servers in which the school is actually like keeping the data of all the students. Right now, everything is digitalized, so obviously they will be keeping like those in the servers or in AWS, whatever. So that is actually, I guess, more like costly or costly instead of actually going on to the blockchain. So now for example, if you just tell them that you give us this data and we're going to just put it in the blockchain, that's just like as simple as creating a smart contract, right? You can just create a smart contract, we can put it in there, and that's it.
But then
I know the data.
isn't it an additional cost than the traditional system?
I mean, already you're paying for the servers. You're already paying for creating. I mean, for those printing machines for printing out your report cards. Okay, now everything is digitalized, so everything is being put on their servers. Instead of putting out your servers, you can just put it on the blockchain and remove the cost of that server. So what the money which is flowing over there, you can flow it over here. That's it.
Cool. Thank you for coming. That's it from my side.
Okay, so I should stop the screen, right?
Yeah.
Screen sharing.
Okay, I believe the third person of the day is. Just give me 1 second.
Chandan, you there?
Viraj, if you have the Notion doc open, could you call the 30?
It's Doglapan.
Okay.
Pretty interesting name. You're getting 10 on 10 for creativity. No, you aren't.
I was hoping for that anyway. So, am I visible?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
three people. Yeah,
yeah. So two of us will be presenting once.
sure.
Do let me know if my screen is visible.
Your screen is
It is for me.
visible. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll start.
Sure.
Cool.
You can at the screen see the presentation because here we can see.
Yeah. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. This is Team Doglapan. And obviously, it was a reference to those of you who don't know, it was a reference to Shark Tank India's Ashneer Grover wala scene, Ye Sab Doglapan hai. And we picked up the theme blockchain and education because this is where we believe that there's something wrong, and we identified the problem, and we'll be proposing a solution. Let's get started. So the story behind how we came up with the problem statement is. As you can read the screen, I'll not be explaining that. So there's a bill, there's a guy, he's on the last day, let's say he has to pay his college ka fees, hostel fees, college fees, and all of those, library ka fee and laboratory ka fee, even though you don't use it. And he gets an email from his college that he has to submit them, all of them by tomorrow. It's the last date to tomorrow, and he has been procrastinating and he hasn't submitted. Now, what happens is he logs on to the college ka website. A lot of people do. And abhi kya hota hai? Now, since not everyone is similar to him, everyone is procrastinating, the server crashes, right? Because there's a lot of traffic, and colleges are, let's say, they have not built such a cool infrastructure to handle such traffic. Now the problem here is uske bank se paisa cut jata hai, but he does not have a proof other than his bank statement that the money has been deducted from his account. Neither does the college have any other proof. So in an ideal scenario, you're supposed to have a receipt from the college stating that we have received your payment, but that hasn't happened in this case. Now this has all been there. We have all been there. And how did we come up with the problem statement? Actually, we spoke to 15 people, and why did we limit it to 15? I'll expand on that. And we asked them, does your college have a website? Does your college have a online infrastructure to manage payments? And 15 out of 15 of them, all of them, 15, they said that our website has a shitty experience. The payment usually has a shitty experience. Over the whole experience is very not ideal. And so then we thought about how did we solve this. And I came across this tweet by Viraj that said, dude, Web3 solves this. And that's how we got started. Right. And my friend Shubh will be taking over and will be representing the solution. Let's go.
All right. Coming on to the solution part. So our basic idea is to write a smart contract which will validate the transaction from the student's wallet to the college's wallet, and when this transaction is completed, a NFT will be generated, like a receipt will be generated in the form of an NFT, and it will be sent to the student's wallet back. So basically the student has a confirmation that his fees has been submitted. Now talking about why use blockchain for it. Can you switch to the next slide? Yeah. So like we came across the question that do we actually need blockchain to solve this problem, or like are we creating a problem just to solve it? So the answer is like little bit on the both sides, like doglapan hai, yes and no. Let me explain. So if like each and every institution is ready to build a bulletproof infrastructure, we won't be needing a blockchain, but that is not practically possible because not every college or institution has enough resources. So by deploying it, like by deploying a decentralized app on the blockchain, it will save money for the institution and it will save time. So thinking of if you're thinking in the long term, there'll be less complaints both from the college and from the student sides, and the systems are going to be more efficient. We thought of building this in Solana because we all know Solana has a super high transaction, like it can handle 65,000 transactions per second. The gas fee is very low, and it will save a lot of things, like it is saving our time, it is saving our money, and the most important part, it is saving us our mental sanity. That's why we thought of presenting this idea in perspective of Solana. Now talking about the user experience, like it will be a very simple dApp. The student will log into college's portal with their registered email ID. We are doing this process so that the college know that this particular wallet belongs to that particular student. So he logins onto the dApp, he connects its Phantom wallet. The college shows how much amount is there and whatever the transaction goes through, and the student receives an NFT as a receipt. So in conclusion, everybody is happy, especially Bill because he didn't get expelled. He paid his fees on time. The college authorities are happy because they can now verify the transactions without hassle. Student is happy because he got a free NFT which will be listing on Solana Art in the future. And parents are happy because their child is happily attending online classes. That was it from our presentation. Thanks a lot. Please ask whatever questions you have.
So my question is pretty simple. Is Bill a nerd? Because you said happily attending online classes.
That was actually sarcasm.
Parents think that he's happily attending, not Bill. Parents are happy.
Sure, I agree upon that. So talking about the entire presentation, that's great. I love the stick figure and the entire idea of you making it on Figma, and that's great, guys. I mean, and let's say pulling the straight string from an example is really appreciated. And so here my question comes. The question is all about the third party trying to disrupt the market, because right now when we see the economics of let's say money transaction, let's say a transaction, we see, let's say, hundreds and thousands of banks across the world work together, right? In this process, let's say if a specific university uses a specific bank, that's how generally universities work. Let's say if your university works with let's say Goldman Sachs, my university works with some other company. So using this process, how would you make sure that this is it? How would you make sure that the company, let's say the education institution, would agree upon utilization of blockchain? Because using a third party bank always gives the university a commission. How would you manage that from a business perspective?
Shobh, do you want to take it or I'll go?
If you want to, you can, or otherwise I will. No worries.
Okay, you go for it. You go ahead.
All right. So I honestly didn't think of it. I did think of this part, and I didn't knew that the bank gives commission to the college. So in this factor, what we can do is like on every, like the NFTs that we are generating, similar to that, something we can do that we can give private tokens to the college. We can, like, suppose our team, we can create a token called DOGL, and on every successful transaction, we give the college this many DOGLs.
Okay, that's it, right? Okay, I have a, let's say that's a good idea, and I have a different approach to it. What I generally do is, like, you look at the overall business perspective. As we said, like, as you said, quoting upon your example, the student is going to get an NFT. And as the number of students increase, the value of NFT, let's say, if it increases by at least like 1%, let's say, on a whole, the brand value of the university is increasing. See it in that way. On a long-term capital gain, it's a win-win situation. That's pretty good, guys. I mean, that's it from my side.
Definitely. I mean, the brand value, the university, which eventually gets tied to the NFT,
Yeah.
I mean, if the NFT gets popularity, the university gets a lot of free marketing.
Benefit as well. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes,
it from my side. Viraj, would you want to ask?
Yep. Why are we using Solana at all? Why not a stable coin like the USDC? I can understand the network effect and the gas fees are almost non-existent, but why not a stable coin like USDC? It would just reduce, it just eliminates the volatility, right?
Okay, we didn't think of that. I mostly work on Solana and Solidity, so that were the only two chains that came into my mind. Like, like these two chains were at the top of my mind. I didn't think of going on USDT or USDC.
Cool. Makes sense. And you guys mentioned NFTs would be listed on Solana Art later on,
that
but
was a sarcasm. That was, I mean, the student could have the option to selling it. Get it?
yeah, but it isn't transferable.
No. Ideally speaking, the receipt should not be transferable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Another question was why blockchain or why Solana at all in the first place? Why shouldn't I just implement Razorpay, which is much Razorpay, or use a Shopify-like software for this? Why would a Web3 solution be required?
These portals can be implemented, but at last, Razorpay ka portal will come when the university sends a token to the Razorpay. Right? The university will send something token to your Razorpay to authenticate the transaction or for the amount that needs to be deducted and stuff like that. But here the scenario is the university ka portal is crashing.
Yeah,
this is my personal experience. Hostel booking mein, since like 3,000 boys are booking the hostel simultaneously, the website crashes.
Yep.
Even when you consider as big institutions as VIT and stuff, even they have that whole, speaking of the subjects, VTOP wala scenario that crashes even though there is no payment infrastructure involved, right? So we are trying to solve the load on the college side part.
Cool. That's it from my side. Thank you for coming.
Thanmes a lot, BlueLearn.
Also, was that an original tweet of mine, or did you guys edit it?
Nah, that's a mystery. Sort of.
There's written in the bracket. It's written not edited at all.
Yeah.
So, that's up to your
I
imagination.
faced a similar hostel wala problem, and my solution to that was a Shopify for colleges, sort of. But yeah, a discussion for a totally different day. But yeah, just saying.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Chandan.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
All right, so moving forward, whom we have next is Ampere 3. Ampere?
Hey, am I audible?
Yes. You're
just a second. I'll see if my net survives with the camera on. Okay. Okay, am I visible?
Yes, you are visible.
Okay, it's fine till now.
Also, Chandan, check WhatsApp as well, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so I hope the screen is visible as well.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'll start our presentation. So good evening, everyone. This is from team Ampere 3, and the theme we've chosen is blockchain and healthcare. The problem statement we've chosen is the cumbersome process of data maintenance as well as report keeping in hospitals and more importantly among patients with a heavy dependency on paper. Okay, so the reason why we chose this problem is because I faced it personally. Actually, at home, I have a separate file. My parents have separate files, and each file is, that thick and filled with papers. So I faced this personally. That each time we go to the hospital, we take a bunch of papers with us, and often there's a high chance of stuff getting misplaced. So I faced this problem myself, and that's why we thought of, why not come up with a solution. So basically, the solution we've come up with is a blockchain-based network, in which the most important part is that each family will have its own sidechain, which will be owned by each of the family members, and a copy of that sidechain will be also owned by the respective doctor. So the sidechain will be owned by the family members as well as the respective doctor, and so this is how a network can be formed between the various families in that hospital. And the benefits of this is, number one, record maintenance. So as we know, blockchain, it can, maybe hopefully in the future it can eliminate paper dependency, and it can make record maintenance much easier because everything is available at one single place and everything is organized. Files do not get misplaced, and there's no last minute hassle of hunting all over the house to find the files. The second benefit is privacy, and we know that blockchain is essentially designed to provide greater security, greater privacy. And according to a particular data, there have been nearly I think 170 million patient records have been leaked due to data breaches over the last 10 years. And I believe that we believe that blockchain can really reduce this number a lot. So patient data breaches can be minimized, and since both the hospitals and the patients have a copy of the data, the patient data cannot be changed without their consent. A lot of times we've seen that in the hospital, they write unnecessary reports and stuff. The medical reports, they get misplaced. There's a lot of unnecessary addition. All that cannot happen without the patient's consent. So this system gives patients a lot of power and a full control over the medical conditions, the medical reports, and stuff like that. And obviously, all this will lead to an excellent patient experience. The miscommunication will be reduced, and also a better and more personalized care can be provided. Doctor need not hunt like what is this patient, the particulars. Everything will be sorted and in one single place. So an excellent and better personalized care can be provided. Okay, so we like to say that this idea may not be completely new. We actually found out about this after we started, after we put out our idea, after we started developing it. We found out this information that a country called Estonia has already implemented blockchain technology in its healthcare. And as seen on the screen, these are a couple of facts that we've noted. And we just like to point out that if Estonia, which is a country with just 1.3 million people, if it can save so much time and money, just imagine what it can do for our country, which has, I don't know, 10 times or 100 times the amount of people. And it also shows how much spending on blockchain technology in healthcare is going to increase. So why not use this to develop excellent system like for record keeping and maintenance. And also, it's mentioned that by 2025, a lot of this blockchain technology will be available for commercial use so that patients can have early access to it. So this was our pitch. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully if this eventually becomes true, we hope that patient families will get a godlike feeling. Thank you.
So from my side, I would say it's a great idea because, as you said, like when it comes to particulars of a specific person, including me, I'm an example because I myself I might sometimes forget the previous, let's say, a few sheets, let's say a few, the drugs that I'm, let's say, a set of medicine that I'm like allergic to. This is something which is super important for, let's say, a future doctor to prescribe the medication. That's where I clearly see it's a blue origin. That's a great idea. But my question is, how would you think about, let's say, managing the entire costs? Because the amount of data that you're gonna put out there is not just normal. Because when it comes to EEG and other forms of data, if it's just like 1 person, 2 people, it's fine. But when it comes to the amount of the scale that we're looking at on a market of 1.3 billion, if we consider India as a private market, it's incredibly high. So how are you planning to, let's say, number one, go under the cost that we are currently incurring? Because it doesn't make any sense if we pay a lot. Present infrastructure that we have for medication management system. So yeah, how would you answer that?
Okay, Meet.
Yeah, sure. So like as we already we have researched on this fact, and as we mentioned the example of Estonia. So Estonia is saving 2% of its entire GDP while implementing the blockchain technology. So like I think Estonia is implementing in a cheaper way, than it already had. Like it had the medical records and everything. So I believe that blockchain technology can be implemented in a cheaper way rather than the cost which is spent on sustaining the current technology. Blockchain will be able to minimize the cost. And there is a major trade-off here, that is data breaches. Like there is so much miscommunication and privacy of data that is being disrupted here, so that like a lot of patients' data have been eroded because there have been card numbers and everything, and the diseases which they have because someone was able to access those records. But if blockchain is implemented, then वो access नहीं हो पाएगा, and that is a major trade-off which I think like even cost अगर ज़्यादा बढ़ती है तो भी it is makes sense to do that trade-off. And like till current records, like it is relatively new, सिर्फ एस्टोनिया ने ही किया है, but एस्टोनिया का जो current record है, it says that 1400 years of work and 2% of GDP बचा रहा है वो चीज. So I believe that it is more effective and makes more sense to implement it. And it can be implemented in like even minute level, like a nuclear family, and even at the higher levels, like a blockchain of all the hospitals, which is like central government also has access to or something.
I appreciate your answer, but I mean, that's it from my side. Thanks. Great idea. I appreciate it. And so I would like to give you a small source that that might increase the understanding in the specific field, even though if you're, let's say, pitching it later somewhere in some other competition. But so something which I'm going to state is going to really help. So there is this research paper from 2016-17, that was the time when a research paper was being produced, which has a similar idea, but on the terms of breast cancer. Because the symptoms of breast cancer are incredibly high. When we think about the numerosity that happens, the symptoms are completely different. So there is this bunch of students from an engineering college have done, along with the biotech grads, to create an entire database which works in terms of the similar thing what you just suggested. Because let's say if a person has a specific symptom, he can go check upon the records so that without revealing the name, the symptoms and the reaction has been provided, so that the patient can get better understanding of what he or she might be going through. So that is something I would definitely suggest you to read upon, and that's it from my side. Great work, guys.
Something of like a personal diagnosis, right? Like
no, nothing personal diagnosis, but to understand the stage, because there are multiple stages to it. So yeah. So understanding the severity and who is the right doctor to be treated, what is the right method to be treated, all of this is being deployed through that. So since it's in the medication healthcare management system, so I would definitely suggest that, because that is one of my expertise as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion.
From my side, the question would be, so personally, I felt the solution is pretty damn vague. Applications of the blockchain on the healthcare and storing of records is an amazing solution, but it's also just upper say, if you know what I mean. I just wanted to know, number one, what chain is this on? Is this a private chain, public chain? Who is maintaining it, and all of that stuff? Can you guys shed some light on that?
Yeah, so like this would be a chain private to the hospital. Like it depends from how do you want to implement it. So like the personal, like the family, the blockchain, the side chain which the family has can be public as well, like protecting the identity as it is always been protected. So like even though if you change the hospital, other hospitals can access your previous data and records. So side chains can be attached and detached to a main blockchain of the hospital, or a community of hospitals. So like community of hospitals in Gujarat, so like they all have the data of a lot of patients. So like if a hospital A is specializing in treatment in so and so disease, and it finds out that these are the symptoms of this disease, and some patient comes in another hospital, so the another hospital will be able to identify that this is the problem. And because data and information transfer is so rapid, that they will be able to immediately transfer that patient to this hospital, and it would be much more seamless rather than data being consolidated in private hospital servers. And which blockchain they will be using on, that is a topic of research, and that is also a topic on personal preference. So like how they want to implement it, but these are the ways in which it can be implemented in a better way.
So you mean to say that there should be a private blockchain for every hospital, and then they should attach side chains to get the data in other hospitals?
Yeah, like depends on the hospital as well. Like hospital
just out of curiosity, what if I decide to change my hospital?
So, like as I mentioned earlier, you have a side chain. Each family has a side chain. Side chain can be attached and detached to different blockchains. So, like you have your previous past data in those side chains, and in a hospital can, if a blockchain of hospital has a new side chain, then it can access its data, and with the prior consent of the owners of the side chain, that is the family, you can access that data, and
Cool.
go further.
Works. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So moving forward, next we have Virex.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are. So before you start, I would like to make an announcement to everyone in the process. So I'll be majorly dealing with the questions from the business side, and Viraj will be majorly dealing with the applicability of the blockchain segment. I hope this is clear. If you have any questions, kindly proceed right now. Thank you. So yes, Virex, you can go ahead.
Okay, so great. My presentation visible, right?
Yes, Abhiram, it is visible, but yeah, it's okay.
Okay, let me begin. So welcome everybody. My name is Abhiram, joined with my friend Yuvraj. So we have come up with a solution to automate our evaluation criteria or processes that take place in our colleges and schools. So I would like to narrate you a small story. So meet Rancho, a 19-year-old undergrad student who is greatly disappointed with his college's evaluation system, because he noticed that his faculties were showing favoritism towards certain students while they were evaluating, and that batch in their class, who is a great deal of copycats, was scoring more than him. And during Vivas, faculties were more lenient towards front benchers and their favorite chit-chat groups. Looking at all of this, Rancho was greatly frustrated. He wanted to do something. So as he was thinking, he came up with an idea, and that is smart contracts. So Rancho knew that faculty would usually evaluate answers based on certain criteria, like plagiarism, that is copying content from different sources, usage of conceptual knowledge that were taught in their classes, usage of important keywords and terms in the examination, and finally citing relevant examples that can support their arguments. And of course many others do exist. So what if we can code all these criteria into smart contracts? So that will enable us to completely automate the evaluation process, and through that we can ensure there is no faculty bias, that is no favoritism, and of course no copycats. So Rancho shared this idea with one of his friends, Farhan, and Farhan had a question. So what is the benefit to the colleges? Because they now have to invest more money into building this software, right? So Rancho has an answer to this. He said colleges will benefit through cost and time reduction. It generally takes a couple of weeks for a college or for faculty to go through our papers, evaluate them, and then finally score us. But through the system, this happens within a day, and reduce labor force. We no more need 10 to 20 faculty to go through our papers and finally score us. It can be done with a couple of computers. And all the data of the evaluation, our scores, and relevant documents will be uploaded onto the blockchain. So that will ensure nobody can tamper the data, modify the data, or delete the data. That means enhance security. So we're basically eliminating humans from the total evaluation process. So Farhan was really impressed with Rancho's idea. So he joined in and started working on their vision of building a fair automated evaluation systems together. And that's a happy ending. Thank you so much and open to questions.
Definitely, Abhiram. So that's a good presentation. You taking it as a story from a movie that we all know. So yeah. So going forward with the questions. So here they are. So firstly, talking about let's say if we deploy the entire marking scheme and the correction statement on a blockchain. Number one, if it is a digital, if it's a typed out one, let's go with the basic doc format. If it is something that is typed, then it's pretty great. But when it comes to handwriting, the OCR right now is not as improved as, let's say, it cannot exactly detect a few handwritings. How would you tackle that? That would be my first question. And the second one would be, so when it comes to a teacher evaluating a student's answer sheet, teacher know I mean, let's say a professor exactly knows what kind of approach a student would take, because they are the ones who have taught this specific student. Since every student has a different approach to answer, uh, would would the entire system be as intelligent enough to mark that on those lines? What do you think?
Yeah, so definitely. Going to your first question, will the system be able to perform well with the written format of examinations, right?
Yes, understanding it. Huh.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I totally agree that this might not work as well going on a physical form of examination. So the institutions will surely have to go through a digital format of examinations. And in fact, this is already happening. We can already see great digitalization in the entire education industry. Now, colleges and schools have started hosting exams online. So I don't think this is going to be a great deal. Colleges and schools are already experienced enough to move into a digital platform to conduct examinations. So that could be done, or the other solution would be to implement AI. So we could use we could take help of AI to recognize certain patterns, certain you know the, so that it would recognize the text easily, and the traditional way of OMR systems, how they work. So that could be another implementation or a supplement to our main system of evaluating through smart contracts. So I hope that answers your first question.
Okay, so yeah, this is the thing. Let's say everyone in the meet in this call is all students, so we know how we manipulated. Let's say by spinning the words, and I mean probably spin bot, right? So if it's a human, we probably know the caliber of a student, based upon which I can clearly judge that yeah, इसने तो copy करके लिखा, इसने he tried something like this. He tried to pull out something. But when it comes to, let's say, this, how would you see? Because I totally understand if you deploy machine learning and artificial intelligence to learn from itself, it would really require a student to take more than 200 tests. By that time, he would be already graduated. So where do you see this applicable? And one last question. If you ask the teachers to just teach and that's it for their job, the university management is not gonna leave them like that. There'll be some serious cuts in their pay, because they were also asked because their job description means that. So that is some serious thing, because the teachers would not be satisfied if they are not paid properly. So but the management always looks at in the point of the work is not being done. There is another place where we are spending money. That is, if this is a software. So how would you tackle that?
Okay, sure. I definitely agree with how a system could recognize different patterns that students use while answering the questions, and that's totally true. and that's why we have thought of not completely automating the system. We could make it semi-automated, so we can actually carry some weightage. We can give the maximum weightage to the automated evaluation criteria and a small weightage for manual evaluation criteria. So in that case, both the systems and the faculty are working on the evaluation process. So that way they would give their own judgments from their sides, and because there is a weightage attached to it, we are giving more preference to the automated criteria. That way we are greatly reducing the biases that might even show up through the manual evaluation criteria. That's one thing. And talking about the malpractices, it could be copying or something of that sort. Sure, we already have a few plagiarism checkers online, which we usually use for making sure that our assignments plagiarize proof. We could actually build a system like that within these evaluation criteria, which will make sure that no two copies of the answer sheets are exactly same. And also it will cross-check with any other online resources to make sure the candidate hasn't taken help of any online sources for answering the questions. So does that sound good?
But still, I'm not really satisfied by the, let's say, the second answer, where you talked about, let's say, even if I put a specific paragraph, if even you and me have put a specific paragraph in a website and ask it to, let's say, change it, let's say, spin it. So it gives you and me different answers which don't even match. So it's all the game of, let's say, combinations and permutations. It's really hard for an AI to detect it. What do you think?
In fact, I have used Spinbot.
Okay.
I don't think it's great. I don't think it's great at all, because the kind of words and sentences it uses, it just doesn't make any sense. So definitely the system is going to reject the answer because there is no proper grammar, there is no proper sentence formations and words used.
I agree that if it's human, I mean, definitely people can find that out. But if it's a software, it still goes through the intrinsic meaning part. So in this process, there will be a huge problem. But secondly, when you think about the pseudo evaluation method, which you said, like partially teachers correct karenge aur uske baad the software will be taking care. So this is a little rigid because this increases the work by a lot. Do you think so?
I don't think so, because already we are deploying.
We are used to online. Is that your answer?
No. Already faculty are doing their part of evaluating. It's their natural job, right? So we're just alongside manual evaluation, we're running automated evaluation. So we are using the same amount of time parallelly, because we are not dedicating separate time for running the computers and implementing the evaluation process manually. They're both going hand in hand simultaneously. So that way we can deal with the time factor. And also you asked about the incentivization to the faculty, right? It would be reduced. Sure, it would be reduced, but now faculty got enough free time that they could not just teach at one particular institution, they can actually teach at multiple different education institutions. So that way they're going to get paid from each institution, which could even sum up to more than what they would usually earn working for a single institution. So now they got actually a lot of free time to work on multiple different projects or platforms.
Tell me something. We all have exams during 2 months or 3 months or through the entire year, right? Let's say in a month, they hardly need to correct twice a year. That too will be over for a month. But which is this institute? We just hire people for a month. It doesn't add up on, is what I say. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely we would need a different system of how colleges and schools run, because of course I do not agree that our current education system is good. I definitely won't agree. And of course we need to come up with a different system where we could actually enable lecturers and students to perform these kind of activities, where faculty could actually teach at multiple different places and also properly conduct evaluation criteria. So
all right. I mean,
yeah, my argument is that this system will actually force the entire education system to actually modify and come up with much more innovative approach towards how the whole system is running.
All right, Abhiram. I mean, the entire idea, I would really appreciate if this comes to life. But yeah, there is a limit to it. That is something which we discussed about here.
Yes.
That's it. Thanks for your work, Abhiram. It's great. Appreciate it.
Welcome, you.
Can I ask questions?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so bro, honestly, I don't think this is a blockchain problem. This is more of an AI ML problem. I don't know why, how implementation of blockchain helps in this. Can you just shed some light on that?
I've also mentioned about the data that comes after if the evaluation, that is your marks, your grades, or any other information related to the evaluation process will be stored onto the blockchain, because we also see students practicing some malicious practices where they would modify their certificates, modify their qualifications or achievements of the sort, which is greatly which is a huge problem in the future when the companies are hiring them. That's where all the credibility part is residing. So through blockchain
Yeah,
do that.
okay, go on, go on.
So through blockchain, they could no more do that. Actually, this system is having multiple benefits. Not just making sure that all the processes are automated, the evaluation process is automated, but also the information and data that is coming as a result of this evaluation process is stored safely and is not easy to manipulate. That way, it is going to serve purpose for even longer time for the qualification, for the future qualifications requirements at the uh, employment companies, or for applying for higher education in greater universities.
But this isn't the problem that you set out to solve, right? You set out to solve the biases problem. And I don't see that being solved over here. This is just storing their marks somehow and on the blockchain and not really taking out the bias out of the teachers and putting it in the hands of computers.
Okay, fine. Maybe I think that's your perspective, but this is what I've come up with. Well, I totally respect.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Another thing that I had was that you mentioned that the cost wouldn't be an issue because you wouldn't anymore need humans to evaluate your papers. You'd need computers would do the evaluation part by themselves. But I don't. I think Chandan covered this in detail, but I don't really see computers taking out subjective problems. It might just work in objective problems, but because subjective are so
Yeah, for the
the
subjective
answers can be
problem.
different.
Yeah, to make sure we handle also the subjective issues. That's why I proposed a semi-automated system where even the faculty is getting the chance of evaluating the answers. But the weightage, of course, varies. We are giving more weightage towards the automated system.
Yeah. You've already talked about this. This
Yes.
works. Cool. Thank you for coming.
Welcome.
Bye. See you.
All right, guys. So next we have 1 second. Obstacle, right? Yes. Next we have Obstacle. I mean, the name of the team is Obstacle. So yeah, Obstacle, if you're here, we request you to come up. Okay.
I can see two people from Obstacle, Jyoti Prakash and Shubham.
Exactly. Shubham, if you're here, kindly respond. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the.
Let's just go to Blackstone and then maybe we can come back later.
Sure. Blackstone, if you're here, kindly respond.
Yeah, I am.
Hi, Blackstone.
Yeah.
That's a nice name, by the way.
Thanks. I ripped it off from a hedge fund.
Ah,
Yeah. most powerful one in the
Oh,
world.
wait, did you just say your hedge fund?
No, from a hedge fund. I'm not
Oh,
that
cool.
rich.
I thought you own Blackstone or something, bro.
I wish. Yeah, okay. So I'm presenting Project Loki on behalf of my teammates. I'm Avnish Gujran. Good evening to y'all.
Just to let you know, I still can't see the stream if you're streaming it right
okay.
now.
Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Can you see this? Can you see the? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Thank you. You can start.
Good evening to you all. I'm presenting Project Loki on behalf of my team. I'm Avnish Gujran on behalf of Blackstone Inc. It's totally original. I did not rip it off from major hedge fund. Okay, yeah. So we're going to talk about like election fraud. So basically, it means messing up elections, like by changing the number of vote tally or hacking into EVMs. But election fraud is so much deeper. It often creates like a chasm of trust where democratic institutions that need it the most often don't have it. And if you want real life examples, you could take Pakistan, Argentina, and Chile, which literally slid into dictatorships after repeated amount of election fraud. So yeah. And now the thing is that when we did have a blockchain solution for this, but we thought, why not just solve the bane of elections as a whole? Like elections have like a negative everybody has a negative view of elections. I mean, everybody thinks they're long, they're inefficient, and we literally spent 60,000 crores on them. Lok Sabha elections. Now we thought let's solve this as well using blockchain, and turns out we did. We found a way where we could just allow people to vote to their smartphones or computer systems, and make elections like more streamlined. And the best part of all is disabled or ill people who cannot stand in those long lines or who cannot are not close to a voting booth can still participate in the democratic process. So as a result, our innovation could literally change the political landscape for decades to come. Because for those who claim election illegitimacy, they can claim this no more. This becomes a political defense to it. Yeah. So our system is called vote.gov. So we use it's a secure web-based solution to cast a digital vote. So what we do first is we provide digital wallets to everyone who has an Aadhaar card, and then the government deposits an NFT with a unique ID into each and every wallet. And then when we want to vote, we just use a two-factor authentication. It's like literally the same as Twitter, Tinder, Uber. Like you type in a number, you get an OTP here. You type in your Aadhaar card number, Aadhaar card ID, and then you get an OTP through the registered SMS. And then what happens is that this NFT, we could use it. You basically just transfer the NFT to the candidate that you want to be elected, basically. So instead of one citizen, one vote, we could do it one citizen, one vote, one NFT. So yeah. And now obviously we realized that we ran into now the thing is it does not end here. I mean, we realized that because blockchain does record like from which wallet from which wallet does the NFT transfer to. So we came up with a one-way hash solution to sort this throughout, so that way I can see where my vote is going, but the person who has received my vote or any independent auditor cannot see who I voted for. So yeah. And then we moved on to now the thing is that there is now this brilliant solution obviously requires some sort of infrastructure behind it. Yeah. So we thought about deploying sidechains. So basically, instead of one main central chain that runs through, we thought we could confine a lot of sidechains to local domains. For example, the state of Gujarat could have a sidechain. The city of Bangalore, the city of Mumbai, even a constituency could have its own sidechain. So here this also ensures greater transparency. So people could independently audit each sidechain. And also when we're uploading information to the main blockchain, it does like there's no discrepancy. Like if we had like just one single blockchain, that would take like a large amount of time and computing power. But these sidechains make it like extremely efficient. So yeah. And then also we decided like this was not enough in terms of security, because we literally are basically putting the power of government in someone who needs to be responsible. So we thought, let's add another level of security. So we thought we could create authorized nodes by each state. So each state could have a copy of the blockchain. So thus any large scale changes would require the approval of more than 15 states. If you really want to cheat, it would be virtually impossible by the levels of security that we've added and the complexity of vote.gov. Yeah. And now the thing is, as I come to the end of my presentation, like a lot of my time is spent in research. So we saw a very weird relationship between the internet and blockchain. So we decided to, show it via memes. To that was too big. Thank you. Just sharing my screen.
Yes. Anish, right?
Yeah.
Anish, so that is a, let's say, great idea. Really, hands down, it's a great idea because you're looking at NFTs as a token that is exchanged, and you probably know, let's say, it is encrypted, and not a third party can really visualize who are you voted for this party, right? So let's get to a different side of an approach. Let's say if we look at the applicability, generally, if you're in a social circle, someone would ask you which party you voted for. Let's say if it's a conversation, so you might say party A, and based upon that, if let's say if even I support and believe in party A, then the conversation would be pretty great. Like we are pretty good, let's say the conversation goes forward. But let's say if we are conflicted, let's say if there is a clash in the supporting parties, then where things go, right? Which is not really healthy. Talking about the same, keeping, let's say if a person asks you just like that, whom did you vote? Would you like to show it? If you would just say to support, to just protect yourself, saying that, yeah, I voted for party B, which was like supported by the other person as well. In that case, if he or she would ask you to show, and if you have the opportunity to show, where things can get wrong. So by any chance, can you remove this power of seeing whom we voted for?
Yes, see, vote.org, we could obviously add a feature in which we could once you vote, your account or wallet is sort of deactivated from transacting for the rest of the year until a local election comes up, in which a sidechain is activated. Per se, like as in if you want to vote for your local, let's say like your MLA elections or even an MP election, like member of parliament. Only then does the digital wallet become active. That means these transactions would more or less be hidden. I mean, you can add a feature. I'm pretty sure it would not be too hard. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it from my side. You understood, no, the reason why I've asked that.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, it's a great pitch. Yeah. So yeah, Viraj.
Yeah, towards the end of this, you mentioned about nodes and 15 states ka approval for making some changes. What changes are we talking about?
I assume that in the event there's some conflicts or whatever, or let's assume that like by accident some votes haven't registered. Like in the case of an extremely rare event of discrepancy happening, what do we do in that case? Like this could be like a fail safe for that. Like you need to have a plan for everything, like in such a thing, like in such a big election like this. So I would assume that I just put this level of security, yes, so that we could
But
mitigate.
what if since the states, I would assume when you say states are authorizing these changes, I would assume that the heads of these states, which is either the chief ministers or the governors of the states in the case of either India or the US. So what if one party is in power for, let's say, 20 states and the opposition is in power for just 8 states? This just and they just decide to change all the votes and bring them back to power. This just defeats the whole purpose in the first place.
Yes. So this is a flexible rule in which we could instill like a filibuster rule. For example, in Belgium and in the US, like most Senate proposals are often require a majority of each and every major minority powers. For example, in this case, let's assume that there are 20 states controlled by party A and only the rest 9 states controlled by party B. Unless 5 states from party B agree to the required changes, we could say no. We could say no vote happens, because the rules for the nodes could obviously be modified like for each country. For example, in Belgium, in which the diaspora is like extremely diverse, just like India's, we could route the rules like that. So, yeah.
Yep. Another question would be about the trust factor, since a lot of people in our country itself, they question EVMs. A lot of countries in Europe don't even use the EVMs. They just still use the paper ballot. So, do you really think voting from your smartphone is feasible enough? Like, you'll be able to convince all the people for this?
I mean, the thing is that election integrity is often a political tool that's been used for a long time. But the thing is that this also serves as a counter offer. For example, I mean, in this year in the 2022 elections, I mean, at least in the US, like there are obviously two like the Republican and Democratic Party. Like if most of the times, most political defeats happen when one solution appears, and then the person cannot counter it with any better solution, but instead just chooses to allow the problem to remain. I feel that it's almost political suicide if this is introduced in any chamber of legislature, or even if some person in the media heard of it, and it's still not adopted for a long time. For example, I could really take the case of Obamacare, which was extremely unpopular, but it turned out to be a massive, but in the end, like at least towards the 2018, it still remained even in a Trump presidency. So the
Yep.
political viability of this is, it is there.
Yep, I understand. Cool.
Okay.
Works. That's it from my side. Thank you.
And by the way, I had this question: where did that 60,000 crores, right? Is it 6,000 crores?
It's 60,000 crores.
Where did this money go?
No,
Oh.
so you need a lot of volunteers and that the election commission appoints, and the average spend is about
So is
$10
it only
million
because
per
of that? Is
general
it only
election.
because of that?
No, there is much more, right? You need transport, you need
So all
you
the
need to
logistic
bring
process,
those.
right?
Yeah, India is a vast country, bro. You can't really spend less money and get it done. And you need to spend a lot on the security of all the officials as well.
All right. Okay. So moving on to the last team of the day, obstacle.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you are audible.
Okay, there is great network issue over here, so forgive me.
No,
And
that's okay.
also
Yeah, you can start
forgive
presenting.
me if I cannot open my camera, okay? Is that
That's
all
okay.
right?
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, okay. Just give me a minute. Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
No, wait. There's an issue over here. Can you just give me a minute, please?
Sure. Take your time. Yeah.
If you want, I can share the screen for you if there is a huge issue.
Yes, the screen is visible and you can start.
Okay, just a second. It is not visible to me since I have network issue. Okay, it is visible. Cool, now I'll be explaining you. So, hello everyone. As you can see on your respect screens, we are obstacles. And I am Shreya, and my other team members are Shubham, Jyoti Prakash, and Sahil. And we as a team are presenting you an idea of how the present scenario in the field of food and beverages can be changed with the help of blockchain. Next. So, what are the problems we are facing in the food and beverages supply chain? So, duplication of goods. You might have seen there are many middlemen involved who just duplicate the product in between, and they sell the duplicate one to the to the shops, and therefore the customers do not get the correct product. Also, there is no way of backtracking goods, and we cannot know what are the malpractices that are involved. And also there are other problems like competition of inventory management and lack of transparency in labeling. The next slide, please. As you can see here, how can blockchain help in different areas? So from the producer's part, we can get to know what are the types of fertilizers used, source of seeds used, harvesting method, and the time it took. In the processor's part, we can get to know what is the method of processing and the ingredients used. In the certification part, we can get to know the types of certification and also the different approvals from authorization. And in the logistic part, we can get to know the transportation, temperature, and the storage condition. Next slide, please. So this is how exactly blockchain will work. The next slide. And this is the system of blockchain. The second figure in your screens explain how validation process works in blockchain and how blocks are added to it, and how every time a forger computer makes a block, these things will happen. Okay, this is exactly how it will happen. And the next slide. So how can blockchain establish transparency? As you know, there is duplication everywhere, but in blockchain we can reevaluate the blocks and the product that is going on. And in this way, if one product ID is found in two places, suppose in two places there is one product, so the blockchain will trace the checkpoint and can alert the malpractices in the systems. Also, we can trace the product and trust the data, as we are connected through we are connected digitally, and there is like we can trust on the network and also on the technology. The next slide. So there is a great example we can consider. Suppose Haldiram. We know Haldiram is, a renowned brand and everything. So Haldiram can have many malpractices involved by it. Like suppose if we are buying a Haldiram product of 50 rupees, and we know there are many middlemen that are involved in the process of how we get the Haldiram product from the from the producer to us. So there are middlemen involved. So those middlemen, what they can do is they can take the original product in a cheaper way, and they can make their own snacks or anything, and they can sell it in a like in the original place. Like if it was if the original Haldiram product was, if suppose 30 rupees, so they take it for 30 rupees, but they sell the product of 15 rupees, like they make the product of 15 rupees, and then they take the brand name of Haldiram and they sell it in 50 rupees. So there is huge profit that can happen like this if this continues, because Haldiram is Haldiram. So the next slide, please. So get to know us, like get to know obstacle. We, with the help of technology, will solve it. I know most of you might be like, कुछ समझ नहीं आया लेकिन सुन के अच्छा लगा. The next slide, please. So this is the overall representation of what is the system now and how it will be after using blockchain. So before, as you know, there is no tracing of the product right now. There is no no quantity that is written, that how much amount it was from producer and how much the consumer, like how much in the shop they are selling. Also there is there is like a rough diagram of whatever the amount or whatever it is written in, like roughly. So we exactly don't know all these things. But after using blockchain, we can like every product and box will have a unique ID, and at every checkpoint there will be 5 to 6 computers will which will be having internet access, and will we will be keeping an eye on everything that is going on. Also, the unique ID on the product will have the capability of showing the whole process of how this product has reached to the consumers. And the last slide, please. So, and hence I can conclude my presentation by saying that blockchain is a promising technology with multidimensional benefits. If used along with the IoT, we can establish a transparent supply chain, can reduce the food fraud and build the consumer trust. And also we will be having a smooth and better food supply chain for sure. And that's all. Thank you. Questions, please.
Jyoti Priya, right? Jyoti Prakash, sorry.
I am Shreya.
Yeah.
I'm Shreya.
Okay. All right, Shreya. Shreya. So I have a quick question. Could you explain? I totally understand the way you are managing the logistics, and that is good. So, but tell me, how are you fighting to, let's say, not allow the fraudulent activities to happen? Let's say counterfeit or adulteration of food. How are you managing that?
See, adulteration of food, we know that there will be there will be blocks everywhere, right? Like from starting, there will be checkpoints even in the manufacturer, in the manufacturing unit, and then in the way it is coming to the shop. So everywhere it will be checked. So there is no chance that adulteration can be done. Like, we are keeping an eye on everywhere. That's why I told that there will be 5 to 6 checkpoints, and everywhere there will be 5 to 6 computers.
Okay, sure. I totally understand the way you want to track every single product. You want to manage the entire logistics. You want to know where your product from the warehouse is going, which place exactly in the part of India is it going. I totally agree. But there is another thing that you're trying to tackle, right? Which what is that?
We are tracing it, and we are ensuring that there is no duplicate product.
Exactly. How are you doing that? How are you trying to not allow duplication?
Because there is unique ID that will be in the packet, right? Like in the product. Like if we are taking Gucci bag, suppose, so
Okay,
there
tell
will
me
be
something.
in the
Let's
belt
say,
there will be an unique ID. So there's no issue.
I agree. For Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Versace, yeah, totally I agree. But let's say if I'm really hungry, if I'm walking on a road, if I need 10 rupees ka Haldiram packet, I wouldn't really care if it's, I would just look at the package. If it's like similar color, design, aesthetics, if it's fine, I would just open and taste it. I mean, would you really think someone would really open their phone, or let's say would go to the entire supply chain and then check, is this real or not? Would you think that happens?
I'm sure if the person is conscious about health, he
Dude, tell me
wouldn't
seriously.
care. He would.
If he's like really conscious, why would he eat Haldirams in the first place?
Like that
Don't mind.
I think I
that
can explain.
is like
Please
every
do.
day we eat a healthy.
Shreya, I will try to explain that. So
Okay,
basically,
please.
it can be tracked by retailer also. If you are buying from a retailer, because it's basically reevaluating in every nodes or checkpoints in this blockchain, in the supply chain system actually. So in that system, I think the customer will be the last guy to check that the supply chain is good or not, as the data will be already be checked by 5 to 10 systems. That's, I think, might solve the problem, as the data will be
Seriously, I
already
didn't understand
evaluated.
this point. If you'd like to rephrase, please do. Because this is something even I was like very curious about. Uh, would
Okay,
you like to give me an
suppose
example?
yes, let me try with the example of Haldiram. Let me share that screen. Okay.
No, you can be verbal actually. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, suppose Haldiram is at Nagpur.
Okay.
And we are at Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 to 5 checkpoints in between that. So when product goes from Haldiram from Nagpur, it will create a block in the blockchain. After that, when it reaches to the first checkpoint, then it will also create a block, and this process will go until Delhi, like that, and new blocks will simultaneously will be created in that blockchain also.
Okay.
I would
Okay. So
like to add a point that
sure.
I guess that Haldiram will not be, will not be. It is not sold in a random shop or somewhere. So it is definitely, it is a brand, right? Like, and every product, I guess, which is a brand is sold in a good shop, which takes the product in huge amounts, and we will be distributing all the things which are checked at every point.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I got a picture. Yeah. Fine. So that's it, right? Would you want to say something more? Yeah. Viraj?
Yeah, no questions from my side. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. I'm extremely sorry for the internet connectivity issue. I'm extremely sorry for that.
That's completely fine. Chandan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Cool. Just maybe just end the event, whatever it is
Sure.
you have to say.
Yeah. So guys, so we just have like 2 minutes to end this event. Okay, how was the overall experience? Can I just get, let's say, in one word, would you like to say something, or let's say, how was it?
Dude, personally, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but personally, these pitches were
So good.
so much better than all of our previous ideathons. I just loved every single one of them. A great job that you guys have done this time. Thank you for making our experience better as well.
I mean, definitely, the ideas were pretty great because when we were looking throughout all the decks that were being provided, these are the bunch like really good, and not just that, great ideas, guys. I mean, really appreciate it. So would someone want to say something? Is it good or is it bad? I just want to know that.
Can I say something?
Go for it.
So first of all, thank you so much for appreciating our ideas, and for me personally, this is actually my first ideathon, and this is actually the first online public event I'm taking part in, and I'd like to say that experience was amazing, and I really enjoyed it, and I really got an idea of like for example, if tomorrow I'm seriously pitching the idea, like how can questions be asked, right? Because there's always this factor that whenever we think of an idea, we think of it as something as perfect, right? But the way how questions can be asked, I felt that you guys really grilled us and try to test our understanding of the idea and stuff. So I'd like to thank you guys for giving us your time in really trying to understand what we're trying to say and stuff like that. So thank you, and for me personally, it was an amazing experience. I look forward to more ideathons.
Thank you. Thanks for that. So number one, the ideas are great. That's the whole point why we would even support. I mean, great ideas, guys. Not just I mean, it's to everyone in this pitch, everyone in the room. And so before we end, I would just like to say that whatever, I mean, I'm not sure when the results would be. The results would be coming most probably by tomorrow. I think, I'm not exactly sure. So other than that, any day if you'd like to have a discussion regarding a specific idea. I mean, the entire point was not to grill you, but just question, because like to just get the idea clarified. That's it. No point to stress you or grill you. That's the only idea. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for coming and participating. Really appreciate your work. Yeah, we will look forward to have conversations with you across the platform. See you. My name is Chandan Perla, and that is Viraj along with me. See you in the next one. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.